often told that healing has to be intense to be effective. Like if we're not going all in, we're just not doing it right. But more often than not, it's the gentle, consistent practices that actually create lasting results. Welcome back to the Root, the podcast that unpacks the truth behind women's health and healing from within. In today's episode, we're talking about why the little and often approach is the most sustainable path to wellness. We'll explore why I always advocate for small, repeatable healing practices, things you can actually stick to that feel manageable in real life, because it isn't a sprint, it's a rhythm, a habit, and it starts right where you are. Before we get started, two really quick disclaimers. Number one, I am not a medical professional and this is not medical advice. Everything that I mention within this podcast is based on my own personal experience. And number two, as Q-Tip said, occasionally I curse to get my point across. So if you have young kids in the background, I would recommend that you wear headphones, or if curse words offend you, feel free to exit left right about now. Okay, let's get into it. Since I started my healing journey, one of the things that I do consistently is Qigong. And I know on the face of it, people will think, how can something as gentle as Qigong help you with fibroids? But it truly has had a really big impact on my healing journey. Yes, it's simple and it's gentle, but it helps me with my range of movement. It helps me to calm my nervous system. It involves breath work. It involves being here in the now and just focusing on your peace and positivity and bringing good vibrations. And although we've been conditioned to believe that our emotions don't play a part in us developing fibroids, I'm here to tell you that they very much do. I used to be one of those people, as I'm sure many of you listening to this podcast can relate to, that when you found out you had fibroids, you wanted to do all the things. I'm talking like cut out every single thing that you heard was bad, do everything that Dr. Sebi told you to do, live off of herbs that taste like swamp water, and never touch meat or dairy again in your life. And I did all of those things. Most of them I was already doing. I didn't eat meat for a very long time. And I had some dairy, but mostly I was into alternative milks such as coconut milk and almond milk. So it wasn't much of a stretch for me to, cut out certain things. But I'm a big advocate for life is for living. And what I actually found when I went to the extreme ends of healing is that I was miserable. I would go to the extreme. I don't eat this. I don't eat that. I don't do this. I don't do that. And I would last for a couple of weeks. And then I would just go right back. And this just kept on happening over and over again until I got to the point where I thought, instead of working against my body, I need to work with it. And I needed to find my why. Because when you find your why for healing, things become so much easier. And my why for healing was, yes, I wanted to get rid of these fibroids. And I wanted to be able to live a more fulfilling life without pain and constant agony and lack of energy. I wanted all of those things. But truly, the main thing was I wanted to be able to trust my body enough to know that I could actually heal myself. And when I relaxed into that and I decided to trust myself, which sounds really woo-woo and airy-fairy, I know it does. Even as I say it, it sounds that, but it's the truth. This is actually what happened, is that I found my why and I decided to move forward with that. And everything shifted. It became simple. I stopped all of it needs to be a 56-step routine, or I need to live on one particular herb from the Caribbean. I need to just have cabbage soup for 6 weeks. I stopped all of the crazy extreme stuff and I went back to basics. Why does this particular food impact me? Why is this particular herb good for me? What are the benefits? How can I incorporate this into my daily life and into my daily routine so that it becomes a habit and it doesn't become a chore? I get a lot of messages from women online and they want to know, how did you start to heal your fibroids? And I can tell a lot of them are probably disappointed and a little bit shocked when I tell them that I just don't advocate for the, if you cut out meat and if you cut out dairy, you will heal. Because I know, and you know, there are many women, myself included, who didn't consume meat and who didn't consume dairy and still had fibroids. And there are many women that have gone down the extreme route of healing, which is only one form of healing, by the way, and they relapsed time and time again. And it's simply because it's too much and it's too quick. Let me give you an example. Imagine you've been given a new plant. You don't drench it all at once and expect it to bloom overnight, do you? That would be ridiculous. Instead, what you do is you give it a little bit of water consistently, day after day. You make sure it has sunlight, you prune what's no longer serving, and over time, without rushing or forcing, it grows. It's the same with healing fibroids. It takes time, but the way to make things stick and become effortless is to find out your why, but make the changes small. When you think about it, it's exactly the same way as you developing the fibroids. I'm pretty sure that the habits that you created that formed the fibroids didn't just happen within 24 hours. It was something that happened over time. And the reverse is also going to be true, that in order for you to heal from your fibroids, you will need to have small, consistent changes in a positive direction. This will not involve cutting out every food group known to man. This will not involve consuming every single supplement that advertising tells you is good for you. This will not involve extreme forms of exercise that will put more stress on your body than you actually need. And trust me, if you have fibroids, stress should be up there as your priority to reduce. Number one, take it from me. This go hard or go home toxicity really needs to take several seats, because I honestly believe it has no place when it comes to healing fibroids. If anything, it has the opposite effect. I'm not here to tell you that you should eat this and you shouldn't eat that. I'm not here to preach to you in any way. I'm just here to offer you some advice on how to make things easier for you. Because trust me, I have been there and I know how hard it can be. And there are easier ways than what you're being presented by the masses, or what you're being presented by mainstream media, or even your doctors and consultants in terms of medications and operations. These aren't forms of healing. These are forms of treating a symptom and never ever getting to the root cause. In my opinion, the extreme forms of healing just don't work long term because they're not realistic for everyday life. It's about small, repeatable habits that you can incorporate into your daily life that will produce the best results. So if you feel that dairy is something that you need to cut out of your diet, great, let's do it. But let's not cut out every single dairy product. How about we start with milk? Let's leave the cow's milk to one side for a week. Start small. Try almond milk. Try coconut milk. Whatever milk you want to try, an alternative, we'll do that. And we'll do it for a week. And you see how you go. You track it. And you see, okay, this works for my cereal, let's say, or my porridge, but I'm not too keen when it comes to drinking it with tea. Okay, we'll find something else and we'll do week two. And you track it and you go on and on and on. Or if you know you need to work on your stress levels, let's try something small. Everybody wants to go and meditate, but I can tell you, as somebody who has tried to meditate for many, many years, it can be fucking hard, especially when you're one of these people who your mind is constantly racing. and you're a perfectionist and you want to get it right straight away, it doesn't always happen, especially with meditation. But what is really good is something like breath work. Yes, it's simple. And if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, how is someone teaching me how to breathe or watching a YouTube video on breathing going to help me? It's going to help you a lot more than you think. Okay. You just need to be a little bit open minded. Or if you need something that's going to help you to relax, maybe yoga isn't your thing. Yoga definitely wasn't my thing. But Qigong is, believe it or not. Maybe there's something that you like. Maybe it's dance. Maybe it's somatic movement. Maybe it's just walking around the block. These small steps build up and they become part of your daily routine. It becomes a habit. It becomes a lifestyle. And these things you can stick to rather than deciding overnight, I'm going to be vegan. And then all you're doing is replacing the meat with lots of processed food. It just doesn't make sense. And if you are going to incorporate some of these small steps into your healing routine, I want to give you a valuable piece of advice. And that advice is don't tell anyone. What I found is that you will be really enthusiastic about change. And we make the mistake of telling too many people or telling people in general. Just shut up. Don't say anything. Okay. If it's something like you want to work up to your 10,000 steps a day, tell them when you're a month in and you're already doing your 10,000 steps. Don't tell them at day one because some people may not be as encouraging as you would like, and it may affect you more than you think, and then you give up prematurely. Okay. So we're going to keep stum, we're going to keep quiet just until we get into that rhythm. And then the second tip is please, please track your progress. This is where I fucked up because I would start something, but I wouldn't track it. And then I wouldn't see how far I've actually come. And then I would give up and I wouldn't put any emphasis on how I'm actually feeling after, say, for example, I'd taken some supplements for a period of time. I wasn't measuring it that way. I was just doing it for a couple of weeks, maybe, and then deciding, oh, this doesn't work. But when you track it and you see it in black and white in writing, and you can see over a period of time how this has improved gradually, it makes a difference. And for anybody who needs any help on that, I have a fibroid tracker. I will link it down below. But also, I just want to say it's okay to start small. We all heal at our own pace. Just because your friend Chantel managed to cut out 100% of sugar within 4 weeks doesn't mean that you're falling behind because you can only cut out 25% of sugar. Let's check back in with Chantal in another couple of months and you tell me how she's doing. Start where you are, start small, just be consistent. Healing isn't about doing everything, it's about doing what matters consistently. As always, I'd love to hear from you guys. I really want to know about your stories and how you've managed to heal from fibroids, or if you have any healing techniques that you would like to share, please do DM me on Instagram or send me an email if you would like to share your stories on this podcast. If you found any benefit from today's episode, I would invite you to subscribe, or if there's anyone that you feel could benefit from this, please do share it. And until next time, take care.